driving down the centre attacking, and the other person is using a Wu Sao to deflect and a punch to attack. When I'm deflected off with the Wu Sao is in the same position as it would be when I'm doing my Silim Tao, but the feeling of Wu Sao is going forward. So when I'm punching here, this Wu Sao, the blade of the hand is facing this way, but the arm here is lined up to re-attack here, so that if another punch comes from the opposite corner, I can always use my rear hand to attack with. It's more easy to see when we look at Mark and Chun. If Mark punches here, if we freeze that position there, just do one more punch there, one more punch. This position here, the line of this arm here is actually facing Mark. So an alternative would be if Mark punches through there, Chun can use this hand to strike with, keeping the elbow down to hit. If we go back to the drill now, if we slow it down and see what's happening, this punch is coming in. As the punch forces up behind the punch here, it turns Chun, causing his Wu Sao to press forward, and this one's come in here. And this is the basic drill. It's teaching him to turn and defend. He's got 2 points of contact here, which makes it a lot safer. If there was just 1 point of contact, this arm is free. If this was a point of contact, this elbow is free. So he's gaining 2 points of contact to stabilise this line, and just learning to pivot and punch, absorb if you like. And then we can add variety to this by the fact Mark can throw in a hook punch every now and then randomly into the mix, just to make sure that he's feeling forward, getting that Saojik Ching, that forward feeling to drive forwards whenever he needs to, or whether he can really. He's learning to feel to go into a gap. As soon as a gap occurs, he's going in. If the pressure's on centre, he's pivoting around it. If a gap opens up, he goes forward into it. We can then add to this drill, if Mark's punching again, from this position here, he can now use this arm to barge into Chun and try and drive him back. You can see Chun just drops back into his 2-mile retreat step, uses Jut Sao and hit. So we can just add that into the mix. So he's learning to deal with being pressed and being shoved off his stance. So he's learning to pivot his stance and then allowing that stance to collapse backwards in the 2-mile step. So he could collapse this way or he could collapse that way, depending on how the force is. Just learning to go backwards. When someone bigger or stronger is pressing you, you need to go back. You go back and invite them in and hit them as they come. Another option, of course, is to be pulled. So we could take the same drill, and this drill could be Tan San punch, could be Fuk San punch, could be anything you want to. We're just using Wu Sao here. If he gets pulled, he goes in using a Lan Sao out of Chum Kyu, pretty much straight out of the form. Uses the Lan Sao to form a barrier and barge into Mark and attack him with his punch. And we can then take these elements and add anything we want to them. We can just, so if we just take those 3 elements, the hook punch, the pull or the push, and randomise them, it trains him to feel what's coming and to respond in accordance to his sensitivity. Okay, we're now going to look at some of the basic Chi Sao roll techniques and training the specific actions of, say, Bong Sao, Tan Sao, Jam Sao, various ones like that. Okay? Right, now, say, for instance, a punch which gives a Bong Sao. So a punch going on the centre and forcing the hand off line creates Bong Sao for Mark there. That could equally be interpreted as Tan Sao, depending on where the force is going. Tan Sao and punch there, you see. If Chun's prying in very hard with his Tan Sao, pressing too much, you might get Lan Sao technique, which is Pai Jan, rising elbow straight out of Chum Kyu, this one here. Or Mark could try doing things like Jut Sao. Jut Sao and punch there. Or we could try Pak Sao. If we slow all those down, we can see what's happening piece by piece. So we can, there's an advantage Chi Sao. Chi Sao is likened to like a laboratory situation. It's like a test bed. So you can look at all the techniques and train them from contact, so you can feel what's happening, you can analyse everything very well. And you can then take it outside of Chi Sao and put it in drills or pressure testing it and sort of liven it up a bit. But Chi Sao is where you train the skills of the programming bed, if you like. So for instance, if we roll one more time, if this punch here drives in towards the centre with the elbow down very powerful, you'll get a Bong Sao. See, that's been taken off the centre. The elbow's taken over the roll now, and now Mark's in a position to punch again or to lap Sao, whatever he wants to do. Equally, from the same force here, this hand could press in slightly this side. Maybe you can get Tan Sao. This is better because he's only doing one technique, rather like when we did single stick and hands, he's doing the shuffle step there. There's the Tan Sao, there's the punch. This punch should also cover this line here. if Chun is prying in very strong from this hand and stepping in hard, and he breaks the jam sao, you can use the rising elbow from Chun to trap that. He's now got a free hand here to hit with. If this hand comes forward, but it's not quite so strong, he might be able to deal with this with jam sao. And just hit off that hand. There's the jam sao punch, there's the step in, there's the hips and shoulders facing. He's now ready to come in and attack. If we look at jat sao, what's happening with jat sao is Mark is using jat sao from the top of the roll here and pressing this hand down on top of the other one, freeing his other hand to hit. What Chun would need to do in this circumstances is use his emergency bong, his casting bong. So if we can see that, do that slowly, and Chun can get his bong sao working. And there's the power bong, that's a casting bong, second section of Chun Q. If we speed that up a bit, you see everything starting to happen in action. If we look at the pak sao now slowly, you see in this hit the hand is now primed and positioned, the arm is now lining up ready to go. This hand now will come across and perform the pak sao here. At the same time, this elbow will control this elbow so that Chun is completely controlled when he moves into attack. To defend against this one, Chun will either need to do bong sao with this hand, so that when Mark gets ready to do the pak sao, this hand is drawn across and it creates bong sao and takes him offline. Or alternatively, if we go back to the beginning of the position again, from here, when this punch comes in, you can do jat sao and move back this way. So as there's a 2-ma retreat step again, you can see now there's that same position, shoulders and hips facing, jat sao, palm, or punch. So just taking that and moving back off the line. So it's moving out of the line of the punch and dropping back into doing jat sao. This stage now, you'll be looking at starting to do Chun Q form, which is starting to turn and step and move, integrating the concepts from the stationary drills that you've done in the first sections to moving them around and learning to track and follow a moving target. You'll be using your various drills and again looking to find the concepts from those drills within the forms. Lap sao is another cyclical drill that we use in Wing Chun, and you're training to do bong sao and lap sao and punch, bong sao and lap sao and punch. Basically, again, it's a sensitivity drill and you're learning to feel what's happening and to respond in accordance with pressures and forces. Your bong sao elbow is pointing to the centre of the other person, the body's shifted off, and we can shift from side to side or attack. We can vary the drill a great deal, but in the early stages, we just need to keep it nice and simple so that we can see what we're doing and look at the essential points. And the various changes in the drill we do, test the various different bits that we do. So if we can go to the lap sao drill, you can see here the bong sao is a response to a lap and punch. The hand has been taken off the centre, so the elbow is taking over the drill. You can practice an entry drill from this. If Chun comes from this position, he moves in, packs away, just takes his hips, pivots the hips in, shifts in, packs out and punch. Let me just pop that in. He's going to come in and attack as he goes. So just let him attack. He's going to move in, straight in. And now you can see the response. Mark's using a tan and punch to respond to the attack. Okay, let's do a few more of those. So he's feeling and responding. Okay. A couple of other points about lap sao drill. If we're in the roll here, if we can slow this right down. If we just, one more roll here. From this position here, for instance, the wu sao must be tucked back near the shoulder in the Wong Chun Lung system. If the hand is too far forward here, this hand can lap both arms down straight away. If we go back to that same position, this hand here, the controlling hand, is in using Fuk sao concept. This is pressing forward. So this line of the arm here should point to the centre, because at any point now, Chun can jut and hit, change hands. If the wu sao is badly positioned, if Mark's wu sao is out of position here, that hit might catch his wu sao. And again, you can test the wu sao. If the wu sao is correctly positioned here, then the wu sao should be aiming to come forward, and this part of the arm should be aiming to spring out. As soon as that change happens, the hand can come forward and take over an attack. Other little bits we can test for. If this hand isn't controlling at all, then we don't have 2 points of contact. Now Mark can use pak sao and fak sao to attack. He's got another option to come in. So if we go into the roll now, and just go round. And any now and then, Mark will take his hand off, the supporting hand, just to test that Chun's got that springy feeling, that ability to go in when he feels a gap to enter. Chi sao we can take and treat various different ways. Like I said, it's a laboratory condition, so we can isolate different bits of it. We can do, for instance, chi sao without any stepping, no footwork at all. We can just stationary, roll and attack, just like a game really. So here we go. Either person can attack and respond. You can see this also tests the stances, because if anybody's leaning in, they'll be pulled out of their stance. Either freestyle it, or we could say, for instance, Chun has got to make an attack. And Mark has to respond. Chi Geak is sticky legs, another very important drill and very useful drill to train. Because of the proximity that we use in Wing Chun, you tend to be close up and you tend to get your knees touching and your feet touching. So doing sticky legs drills are very useful. You can also integrate them into all the other drills, like single stick hands with a step or any of the other drills. Anytime when you end up with your legs close in, you can try and sweep someone away and they can train to come back in. It trains you to use your leg in a similar way to the hand does. If the hand gets pushed off, the elbow controls and the hand returns. Same here, if the leg gets swept off, the knee controls and the foot comes back in, either to sweep again or to kick or to attack generally and move the stance in. If we look at this here, we support each other. Put your hands on your partner's shoulders because they're likely to fall over. For instance here, if one person sweeps, so Chun here is trying to attempt to do a foot sweep on Mark, trying to pull his foot off and pull him off balance, but Mark keeps control of the leg and drives forward, just affecting the throw. His leg gets thrown over the other leg and drives him off contact. So you're keeping hold of him because it's very likely to be knocked over. In reality, you'll be just attacking him at the same time. Another option, if Mark sweeps Chun's leg, and Chun's leg just comes straight back in and kicks the rear leg. Again, you can see kicking the back of the leg here and knocking the leg sideways. Obviously, you have to be very careful when you're doing this because you don't want to damage people's legs. It could be a front kick or it could be a side kick, just depending on what he feels at the time. Now, following that same kick, Mark can then recover from that and turn his hips back in square and attack back. So he sweeps. When the kick comes back in, he can now drive forward again and take the other leg off. Again, he's using his hips. It's rather like an elementary judo throw. Using the hips to control the thigh. You can see now why they're holding on to each other, because if they weren't, they'd be straight on their backs. This suits ideally the proximity that we fight in Wing Chun, because you're closer and you're going to find these things all the time in fighting. So it's very useful to practice them with the legs, get to use the legs as much as the hands. And now Chi sao we can take it on a step further, and we can randomise it, make it not working on particular things. We can just play, the two guys can do Chi sao together, and we can look at it and check out what's happening. We just freestyle, just play with it here. And we can look at things, check whether the stances are correct, whether the arms are relaxed. You can see here, Chun's got more work to do because he's not so big as Mark. Mark's bigger and stronger. Chun's going to be working more on going backwards drills and learning to move back, and that's better, and finding his position here. He's now learning to retreat when Mark's attacking him, because he has to, because Mark's bigger and stronger than him. And also range-wise, Mark's fighting on a slightly longer range. His ideal range is a little bit further out. So Chun needs to get past Mark's fighting range in order to fight him. If you keep your attacks a bit lower down, aim more for the Mark's chest, you'll get more control over him. That's it, now you're not compromising your own stance so much. And you can see during this practice, there's elements of all the various drills that we've done before, the footwork, the lap sao, the pak saos and things like that. We can look at all this, we can put all these bits together. Wing Chun is a bit like Lego in a way, it's very modular. You get the little bits and little drills which all plug together into one big whole, and ultimately you'll cover every element that you need to cover. In freestyle Chi Sao, if you think of Wing Chun as kind of, if you think of the drills and the individual techniques and concepts of Wing Chun as like the bricks, if you think of freestyle Chi Sao or fighting practice, it's like the mortar that holds it all together. It fills up the gaps and makes it a whole. Chi Sao, it's a bit like fighting practice, but it's a safe environment. It's a laboratory condition. We're not having to put pads and gloves and head guards on, which is a good part of Wing Chun. You have to do that. You have to train it under pressure. We'll do that later in the syllabus. But initially, you don't need to do that. You need to just practice your skill. And here you're learning skill under a certain amount of pressure, of range and threat, but without the worry of losing too many teeth. Excellent. Okay, well hopefully you can see from those various drills and the training methods that we've used there that Wing Chun fits together bit by bit, and you learn different drills to train different attributes, and then you fit them all together. And obviously you need to integrate your forms into that practice and understand where the concepts and ideas come from in the forms, and integrate that into your Chi Sao and drill practice. But hopefully that's giving you an insight into what we do and why we do it, and how all the various little odd quirky drills fit together and make use in the end result of Wing Chun.